All right, so I hope you're all ready for today's class. So let us begin our session for today. All right, so today we are going to be looking at information security standards and specifications. I think when someone talks about standards and when someone talks about specifications, I think something comes to your mind. Just a quick question. What comes to your mind when you hear the word standards? You can just say mic check, just briefly and quickly.
Mic check.
Yes, when you say mic check, you go ahead and speak, so that I don't have to interject. You just say mic check and speak.
Hello,
Mic
Samuel.
check. This is Tinashe from Zimbabwe. When I hear about standards, what comes to mind is a certain degree or a certain level of how things have to be operated on, more like a measurement of quality or of what has to be done.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. This was?
Tinashe.
Tinashe.
Okay, now
Thank you.
I speak.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question. Can you please tell me what is a date exam?
A clear example?
What is the date of exam paper?
The date will be determined, but
Okay.
after 10 days, it will be determined.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I suggest that some of these questions come towards the end, and unless when the question is necessarily relating to what we are looking at the moment, either at the beginning or at the end, to make the recording and also to make the class a bit swift when you're watching it later on.
I have a question. Where is the recording for the sessions? Is it on YouTube or?
It's recording, but I'm also streaming on YouTube. So our friend has told us and has described what standards means to her. And anyone to tell us about specifications, just say mic check and talk to us.
Mic check.
Mic check. Gary Mukelabai from Zambia. When I hear standards, the first thing I think of is ISO standards. For example, in security 27001. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Mic check. Sorry?
Go ahead. When you say mic check, just speak. We'll be listening to you. I don't want
to continue from what you were saying. I think standards are bodies and organizations that set up rules and procedure of how some of these information security organizations.
Okay.
Mic
Thank
check.
you all. Yes.
Mic check. This is Steven from Zambia. When we talk of specifications, we talk of the detailed description of design and material used to make something.
Yeah. Thank you all for sharing. So you have all said, okay, that will be all for now. And please, if you have a device that is playing, 2 devices, I'm hearing myself. Kindly mute your microphone because I'm hearing myself. I'm getting an echo. Right. So just like Tinashe told us before, a standard is something that we are going to use to determine a given level of quality or attainment, and also something that is used to measure, like it could be either norm or maybe even like a model, and those are just the dictionary specifications. So it's a standard, it's your way of doing something. In this class, we keep our microphones muted. So with having those standards, it's going to help us to have a successful class and also have it to the standards that we desire our class to be. When it comes to specification, just like still our colleagues have said, it is just an act of, identifying something precisely or stating a precise kind of requirement that for us, if you are going to be part of this class, you will need to rename your participants' name to your real names. you have to join 30 minutes before, and whenever you want to contribute to the class, you say mic check and speak. Those are kind of specification, a detailed description of how we are going to do things, of how the design is going to be, and also how the materials that you're going to use to come up with that something. So in this course today, we want to be looking at information security. I want to be looking at information security standards and specifications. All right, so moving to the next step, in the process of information security, system construction. Let me turn my color to red, just a moment. So we are saying that in the process of information security construction, enterprises comply with international standards, right? International standards and specifications to develop their own security specifications and improve on operations. So they rely on these internal standards and specifications to develop their own information specifications and also to improve on how they are operating. So this document specifies or describes and analyzes several international security standards to help us better understand information security. So upon completion of this course, we will be able to describe common information security standards, significance of information security standards, main points of common information security standards. So let us look at information standards and their specifications. With information standards, their specifications, we are going to look at the significance of information security standards. Why is it important anyway? Why do we need standards as far as information security is concerned? So standards, like our colleagues told us, they are normative documents, right? They're normative documents that are jointly formulated. Jointly means there are quite a number of people that come together and formulate these documents, that they are jointly formulated, approved, and recognized by authorities and used throughout the industry to achieve the best security. So how can an enterprise build a secure information system? Definitely you have specifications and you have standards to follow. That your password must be encrypted. When a user is putting in their password, they must not use, let's say, the post, they must use the post method instead of using the get method. Those are just some of the standards, and you know it is best practice for you as a developer and when you're also coming up with your system. So, and they're implemented each step according to international authoritative standards. So we want to look at the information security standards. The International Information Security standardization began, I think, about 1970s, and it has grown over the years, and most of the attention came to it around 1990s. So at the present, there are nearly about 300 international and regional organizations that are established to take care of the standards and also to come up with our technical rules. So we want to be looking at some of these things. We want to be looking at these two kind of standards. So there are two international organization related to information security standardization that we want to look at. We want to look at ISO, and also we want to pay our attention to IEC. ISO is our International Organization for Standardization, and IEC is our International Electrical Commission. So ISO here, it is a global non-governmental, it's a global non-government organization, and it plays a crucial role in international standardization. It has published international standards and related documents for most fields, including even monopolized industries such as military, oil, and also shipping. When it comes to the International Electrical Commission, this was the first international organization standard established for the preparation and publication of international standards for electrical, electronic, and other related technologies. We shall also look at other technologies here, which we shall get some time to look at, like the ITU. The ITU, we'll look at it in detail, but it is the United Nations specified agency for information and communication technologies. It allocates global radio spectrum and satellite orbits, and it also develops global telecommunication standards, and it also works to improve telecommunication infrastructure in developing countries like Uganda and other developing countries around the globe, and also to promote global telecommunications. We shall also get an opportunity and look at IETF. And IETF is a large open international community for network designers. This one is for network designers, people who are going to operate the network, vendors and researchers concerned with the evaluation of how the internet works, the internet architecture, and the smooth operation of the internet. This document also, we are going to look at the Chinese Security Standard Organization, and we're going to look at two of them. One being the China Information Security Standardization Technical Committee, and the other being the Cyber and Information Security Technical Committee, TC8 of China Communication Standards, CCSA. We shall look at them. Why not? Other standards, we have looked at them. We have looked at ITU, and we have also looked at the Internet Engineering Task Force, which we're calling the IETF. Okay, we shall get an opportunity to look at them. So moving forward, some of the common information security standards and specification. These are common. We have the Chinese or the China Graded Protection of Information Security, the GB. We are going to look at it. We have the ISO or the ISO. Our friend has talked about 27701. I had one of you mention it. We are also going to look at it. And we have the US, in the US, which is the Trusted Computer System Evaluation Criteria, the TCSEC. And in the European Union, we have our Information Technology Security Evaluation Criteria, the ITSEC. And we shall get an opportunity and look at them in detail. So let us look at the ISO 2700 Information Security Management System. So the information ISM is the Information Security Management System, based on the British 7799 standard developed by the British Standards Institution, the BSI, has been widely recognized as an international standard. We're just looking at some of these standards. And this standard, it has this interesting thing, which is the plan, do, check, and action. The PDCA, plan, do, check, and action. And as you can see here, it is a cycle from one item to another, and from one item to another. So here we have the plan, and the plan, it involves coming up and establishing our information security management system, the ISMS. And this is where the preparation goes. Here you establish the policies, the security policies, you state the objectives, you state the processes and the procedures relevant to managing your risks and also improving information security to deliver results in accordance with the organization's overall policies and objectives. When it comes to the do part here, as you can see, we are implementing and we're trying to operate our information security management system. So with the do here, you look at the ISM document, look at the ISMS document, and you try to analyze the document very well. Here is where you're going to implement and operate on the policy. You look at and you look at the different controls, and you look at the different processes, and also you look at the procedures still when it comes to do. When you go to the check phase, you're doing monitoring and review because you have already done something. So here you're just seeing our ISM in operation. So you're monitoring and you're reviewing some of those things in case you need to change something, in case you want to do something.
And
so here,
on top of that, you tell her, we always, when we have to complain, we bring here in a good way.
Guys, if you forget to mute your microphone, I'm going to be forced to put you in the waiting room. They keep muting you, you keep muting and unmuting yourself. I am going to put you in the waiting room. If you're going to have a conversation in the background, mute your microphone. It's as simple as that. And it's out of respect. So I think I've run out of patience, and I'm going to just ask my co-host, if someone unmutes themselves and they forget to mute their microphones and they have a conversation in the background, kindly put them in the waiting room until they realize what they have done, because I'm not going to keep interrupting the class. I think I've stressed that point more than enough. So we're looking at the
Sure. Awe, msale bwini. Ziko mukambiri. Amdati zaona.
Put some people in the waiting room, given Kalimba. He will sort himself from there.
They disturb again and again.
Yes, just put them in the waiting room. Yeah, just put them in the waiting room. And then for someone to admit them again, we shall see about that. But put them in the waiting room, and good enough, even when they join again, they won't be able to join the main class, because we can't keep on saying the same things over and over again. And Tale, you have your hand up. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I think since we agreed that we shall ask questions at the end, maybe you can disable all our microphones, then you teach them we at the end, because now it's disorganizing most of us.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. Let me first see if things are going to work out now. If they don't, then I'm going to do that. So that we can have a smooth session. So we're on the check option where we said here we're going to assess. And where applicable, measures the performance. How are we doing as far as our information security management system policies, objectives, and practical experience are concerned, and then report the results to management for review. This all happens in the check section. Then action. Here, when it comes to action, you maintain and improve on our information security management system. Here you do examination, you review, and of course you keep on continuously improving on your management system, and of course take corrective action and preventive actions based on the results that were done in the check process up there, and also from the reports from our internal systems audit and management review, or even other relevant information to achieve that there's continual development of the information system. So I repeat, we have our plan phase, we have our do phase, we have our check, and we have our action as far as the information system management, information security management system is concerned. So like we said earlier, we have so many standards. And there's a big family, this ISO 2700 information security management system family has quite a number of standards inside it. There are quite a number of them. You can't even read them and grasp all of them at once. But as security engineers, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3 level and level 4, where 1 deals with the requirements and supporting guidelines, the audit and certification guidelines, industry information security management requirements, health information security management standards, etc, etc, etc. And they are all there, and we have different family standards inside our ISO 2700 standard. But as security engineer, we shall draw attention to these 2, and we're going to look at them where 1 looks at the requirements and the other looks at the specifications, and we're going to look at them in detail. So as security engineers, we are mostly interested in these 2 family standards, and we're going to look at them briefly. So this is the evolution of our ISO 27001 evolution. We see that This one deals more with specification with guidance for use when it comes to this. And we said earlier on, it was derived from our British security institution. That's why they drive this standard from. So information security management system requirements, it basically looks at specification with guidance for use and also focuses more. This one was looking at that. And now this one looks at information security management system requirements. What do we need to achieve what? And also this was derived from this standard. It came to this, and finally they derived to ISO or IEC 27702. And here, basically, initially they were looking at the code of practice for information security management. And with this one, it looks more at the code of practice for information security control. So here we're looking at specification or requirement, and this is looking at the code of practice and security controls. So ISM and 2700 and this family of standards. So ISO or IEC 27701 is an international standard that describes the requirement for information security management system. It describes the requirement, and then we can look at the requirements and standards for implementing and establishing the security management system. After looking at the standards, then we come up with our 2701. It was established, and then after looking at them, then we come up with our information security management system. Then when it comes to the 2702, here it proposes control objectives, 35 control objectives and 113 controls across 14 categories. 35 control objectives and 113 controls across 14 categories. These control objectives and controls are the best practices of information security management. One difference you can take out of these two from the 2701 and 2 is that this one looks at the requirements, okay? Looks at the requirements and specifications, whereas this now looks at the controls and also practice. Yes, what controls have we put in place to make sure that these requirements are fulfilled? I don't know if that is making sense, but we shall find out later on. So information security management operations, here it is dealt in the 77702. It looks at the best practice rules and also information security management areas. These are some of the 14 control areas for ISO 27702. We already said that it proposes 35 controls and what? 100 how many? And 100 how many?
113.
113 controls and 113 controls across the 14 control areas. So these are some of the 14 control areas where we look at the information security policies. What must we do? We must have our information, let's say IT policy, database, backup policy, and those things. Then from that, you look at asset management. When and how often do we our assets due for disposal? Who is supposed to use what asset and for how long must they use? The organization of information security. How are we hierarchically going to organize the information security? Who are the people anyway who are concerned for running and managing our information security? Our access control. Who accesses our information? Who is authorized to access that information? What is the onboarding procedure for them to access the information? Which form do they fill in? How are we going to encrypt our data and decrypt our data? The physical environment security, what zones are we going to measure? What physical security things are we going to put in place? How is the security going to be, the security operation? communication security, how we're going to create awareness, system acquisition, development, and maintenance. Are we going to in-source? Are we going to build a system in-source, or we are going to outsource? Are we going to use on-site servers, data centers, or we are going to use the cloud? What must we do? What do the standards say? What do the standards specify? If it is a supplier, do we have SLAs, software license agreements with the suppliers? What do we need to specify in the contract? And information security incident management. In case, do we have a recovery plan? Do we have a backup plan? How are we going to ensure that there's business continuity in case there's been a security incident? And then information security aspects of business continuity, like I've mentioned, and then compliance. Are we in line with what the regulations tells us? Are we in line with the law? And are we meeting our legal obligations? So ISO 271 project implementation methodology and steps. This is the implementation methodology for specifying our specifications. Remember, we say this one looks at specifications and requirements. So as you're coming up with a system, you need to go through this process very well, and you need to understand it. Like you can see on the picture, sorry, on the screen, some of these processes overlap each other. Like you see in stage 3, some part is in the plan phase and some part is in the do phase. And the same even applies in step 4, where some part is in the do phase and the other part is in the check phase. So stage 1, here we're looking at the project initiation and variance analysis. And you have quite a number of activities that take place during project stage 1. And here, these are just main task examples. You can have quite a number of task examples that happen here. But remember, this is the plan phase, which is the first phase in our information security management system. Then we have stage 2, the risk assessment, after you have initiated your project and you have sat down with your team, meeting up and assessing if you need to come up with this policy and with that information system management, security management system and information security management training, you go ahead and continue working with that. Kabwe, can you mute your microphone? So risk assessment, here when it comes to risk assessment, you are you're training on asset collection and risk assessment methods. You look at the threats and vulnerability that could be identified. And of course, you can conduct the security vulnerability scanning and risk assessment, and rating happens within this stage. When it comes to stage 3, Kabwe, what's your problem? Mulenga? You mute someone, they unmute themselves. You mute them, they unmute themselves again. All right, so we're saying we shall not let those Africans disturb the class. We shall proceed. And we said system security design and release, that is in step 3. And also stage 4, where we look at system operation and monitoring. And lastly, the certification and continuous improvement. And under here, the last stage, you can look at, let's say, the internal audit, external audit, management reviews, and of course, continuously updating and correcting your, corrective and preventive measures and project review meetings, and also assisting follow-up and internal casual audits. So, but basically what you can pick out of this and everything is that when it comes to ISMS, we are looking at our steps here, the methodology, which is plan. The next one is do, check, and act. Okay, so let us look at the graded protection of information security. We said this is the Chinese kind of standards and want to look at it. So the graded protection of information security basically refers to the graded security protection of crucial government's information. Also, they're looking at private, and they're also looking at public information of legal persons. It could be organizations, it could be citizens, and also information systems that store or transmit or process the information. The graded management of information security products in information systems, looking at how they can grade the response to handling of information security incidents in information systems. So basically, they are looking at the government. They're looking at is it going to cause harm to the society, or it's going to cause harm to the individual. So they will handle their security instance basing on that grade. So the graded protection of information and information carriers based on their importance levels, national regulations requirements, and this is supervised by the Public Security Department. They was told you don't want to cross this Public Security Department in China, and it is implemented by headquarters and other industries in China. So according to number 27 of the 2003 version of the General Office of CPC, Central Committee Options for Strengthening Information Security Assurance Work, it looks at some of these things. I'm not going to read through them, but when you get time, I'll share the document. You can go ahead and read through this. But it's a graded protection, and we're going to look at it. So when they're coming up with it, they looked at the significance, but one major significance was to improve on the protection and resource allocation. And then the second one was law and regulation compliance. So when it comes to improving protection and resource allocation, they want to improve the overall protection by effectively monitoring overall information security assurance and resolving threats and major issues faced by information security. By utilizing resource allocation or optimizing, they are investing limited financial, material, and human resources in key areas to maximize economic benefit. That you have people who are going to be taking care of your security concerns, and organization can focus on their core businesses as long as they have implemented and they're working within the lines of the law. A second one was law and regulation compliance. Basically was to make sure that they formulate international security management systems and rules and determine personnel responsible for cybersecurity and implement cybersecurity protection responsibility. I'm not going to read through all this, but when you get time, you will go through that material. So background and development, it has after 20 years of development, graded protection has experienced 3 stages, and we're going to look at those stages. The first stage, that was from around 1994 to 2003, which we are calling the initial stage. The Chinese called for strengthening of information security construction and proposed graded protection of information systems. And here in 2004 to 2006, the development stage, many protection-related standards and specifications were formulated and piloted. After piloting, now from 2007 to date, we are in the promotion stage, and this explains why we are looking at their graded protection in our professional course training. So we're looking at it because they're trying to promote it, and it's in the promotion stage. So started grading, assessment, and rectification review, and all sectors units started comprehensive grading and rectification. The scope was looking at the protected objects, and these protected objects included things like big data, information system, that is the computers we use, and the basic information network. If you further go ahead and look at the different subcategories of this, like let's say information system, we can look at things like industrial control, Internet of Things, cloud computing platforms, information systems using mobile internet technologies. And this is how the grading works. Security damage either to citizens or to society or to the state. So for you to be to determine that you are in grade 1, you only create damage to the citizens and the legal persons. Okay, for you to create damage or to be in grade 1, you only create damage to the citizens, and there's no social order or public interests damage, and national security is also not damaged. There's nothing damaged there. For you to be graded as grade 2, you create severe damage to the persons or to the citizens, and there's some kind of damage created to our to our society and national security. There's no damage. To be graded grade 3, you have surpassed the point of creating damage to the citizens, but you have created severe damage to our society, and you have also damaged our national security. The same applies to grade 4. You have created severe damage both to our society and both to our social national security. And also grade 5, you have not necessarily created damage to our citizens nor our society, but there is damage to our national security. I'll give you an example of TikTok. People, the US government was saying it is a threat to their national security, but citizens were busy enjoying it and they were not seeing any problem. They're enjoying, they're sharing their videos, they have no problem to the legal persons or the citizens, no problem to the society. They're actually enjoying using the app, but the government or the state is saying this thing could actually cause severe damage to our national security. So that's why we need to put a ban on it. So the basic technical requirements that they go through when they are coming up with those grades. So each grade of protection has corresponding technical requirements. And for example, this is just an example, the technical requirements for grade 3 cover 5 aspects. One being the security aspect, the app security aspect, data security, network security, and host security. And you can see even under network security, the different control points that we look at, like 7 control points and 33 items, like a structure, access control, security audit, etc, etc. I'm not going to go through those things, but when you can get some time and go through those things. So the process of graded protection is as follows. 1, you go through the grading phase, the primary step of graded protection, and then step 2, you go through the filing step. And here it is a mandatory procedure for notifying the people in charge, the authorities, that we are filing our grading and see it as below. So they go ahead and go through the assessment process, and this method is to assess the status of security protection. And then they go through the rectification process where they write to you and they tell you a key to the implementation of graded protection, and if there's anything they need to change, they go ahead and change it here. And then lastly, they start monitoring and supervising. You go into the supervision stage. So external management of graded protection. So let us also try and look at other standards. Other standards like the US TCSE, the Trusted Computer System Evaluation Criteria. It was the first formal standard for computer system security evaluation, and it was proposed by the Defense Science Board around 1970 and released by the United States Department of Defense in about 1985. So it also has different levels, like you can see, it has level A, level B, level C, and level D, as well as you can see that there are other subcategories inside these levels. And level A, the verified protection, here the system administrator must receive a formal security policy model from the developer, and all installation operations must be performed by the system administrator. Formal documents must be available for all these operations. This is the verified protection. When it comes to mandatory protection, we have class B1, B2, and B3. And class B systems are protected against access from users without security levels. This one is just looking at mandatory protection. And discretionary protection, here you look at audit protection is available, and users' actions and responsibilities can be audited. We can be able to know who did what and when they did what exactly in the system. And then the minimal protection, lastly, it looks at security protection is provided only for files and users. And the most common D1 is a local operating system all are completely unprotected network. So this is the American Trusted Computer System Evaluation Criteria. Other standards, like in Europe, where we have the ITSEC, the Internet Information Technology Security Evaluation Criteria, the ITSEC was formulated by UK, France, and Germany and Netherlands, and it makes better progress in function flexibility and related evaluation technologies than the TCSEC. Applied in the military, government, and business sectors. This is also its evaluation. I'm going to read through all these things. I'll share the document. You can feel free to read through them, but it also has these different levels, as you can see on my screen. The D2A, the one for TCSEC, it covers everything from A to D. And also it goes ahead and adds other things like data program integrity, system availability, data communication integrity, data communication confidentiality, network security, including confidentiality and integrity. So other standards, these are basically just standards. They don't try to try and cram everything at once. These are standards that when you start practicing, some of them you have to make yourself well conversant with, or maybe just a few sectors depending on what you are working on. And they're very big documents, and I don't think there's any security engineer who has all the documents in his head, but they're good for reference. Okay, so there are other standards like the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, the Public Accounting Reform and Investor Protection Act of 2002, called the SOX. It is an act to protect investors. When you look at it, it's basically to protect the investors by improving the accuracy and reliability of corporate disclosures made pursuant to the security laws and for other purposes. This is the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. What is the relationship between SOX and information security? Clauses in the SOX Act regarding the monitoring of contract management and enterprise operations can also apply to information security inspections. And this brings us to this quiz. Allow me to show up this poll on your screen. Just a moment. You have about 3 minutes to answer. I'm launching it now. You should be able to see it. The question is, which of the following is the correct sequence of the 4 phases of information security management? Not the one you're seeing on the screen, but it's saying, you look at your Zoom screen, you should be able to see which of the following is the correct sequence of the 4 phases of information security management system. It's a single choice. You should be in position to select your answer. I'll be waiting. I'm giving you 3 minutes. I've seen about 25 responses out of 183. Take off the time and answer.
Yes, I've already submitted mine.
Okay, I'm looking at them, yes. All right. Okay, you have less than 2 minutes. So far, around 70 people on this call have not submitted theirs. So far, about 40 people, about 60, roughly 60 people. I'm seeing we have voted about 70%. Please take off time and check. Submit. Yes, Leonard.
Mic check.
Yes, go ahead.
I've lost where to answer that one.
Your network is horrible. Your network is horrible. I can't hear very well what you're saying, but I know you're saying you're unable to see how you can answer. Just check on your Zoom options, either polls or I don't know. Just look around your Zoom. You should be able to see it.
Okay, mic check.
Yes, please.
When you're talking about the standards, you didn't
Can
talk
you
about
please
the IEEE.
refresh it?
I didn't talk about that.
The IEEE. Why it does not apply in this case?
In this case, we are not focusing at it.
Okay.
If we are looking at networking, we would look at it closely because then it would make a lot of sense to us as network engineers. Okay, about 30 people have deliberately chose not to respond the call, and I'm going to end it. Okay. All right, so this is what you have selected. I've ended the poll and I'm sharing results now. Guys, we talked about these things earlier on, and we said that we looked at the thing very well, and I even emphasized and I went through it. We met it in quite a number of different slides, quite a number of them, isn't it? Where is it? Oh, I think I've even skipped it. We looked at it, haven't we? We looked at it. We said it's plan, do, check, and action. Even when we are at the methodology, we went ahead and also looked at it. At the methodology, we went ahead and looked at it. We say that the steps are, the sequences, plan, do, check, and act. So the people who are getting other answers, the about 33 people who are getting plan, check, do, and action. Where are you getting your answers from? You see, this is how you fail the final exam, because you're not paying attention to detail. And I think you're just answering because you want to finish up and get done. And about also the 9% who said it is check. At least the people who said it starts with the plan, but someone says it starts with check. I think they are not part of the class, but they just saw the thing on their screen and they're like, hey, what is this now that Sandy is showing us? We need to fill in. But about the 95 people who have answered plan, do, check, and action, the answer is correct. And thank you for that. And then
C is right answer.
The right answer is, of course, you have seen it. I don't have to mention what the right answer is. You have seen it already. It is plan, do, check, and act, isn't it? All right. So we were looking at the last quiz. Let me download this. I've downloaded the poll. Just wanted to make sure that I have the people who have answered and the people who have not answered. So let me launch another poll for you for that quiz. Okay, you should be able to see it on your screen right now. So kindly just answer it, then we discuss the answers after. And by the way, this is how questions are going to appear in the final exam. So you can start gauging yourself and see if you'll be able to pass the final exam or it will pass you. So you have about 4 minutes to answer, then we move forward. Okay, so I'll end the poll now. Seeing about 80% have filled in the form. So I'll end the poll now. I'll end the poll now. I'll end the poll now. I'll end it now. All right, thank you for all those who have participated. And that is what you have selected, what you're seeing on your screen. Remember very well, right? My bad, this was supposed to be multiple choice. I made it single choice, but it was supposed to be multiple choice. Number one, we were supposed to select 2 answers, right? But I made it single choice, but it's supposed to be 2 answers for number 1. But which of the following are our international security standards organization? Remember, even the very beginning of the class, we said it was
ISO and IEC.
Then this one, we said they're just other standards. This one is for UN, this one is for network what? Designers, isn't it?
Yes.
When it comes to number 2,
plan, do, check, action.
Yes, the ISM complies with which process? It is plan,
do, check,
and action. Still, we have just talked about it, but there are some Africans here who decided that it is ISO. I don't know even how the two connect, and I don't think there's a statement where I have combined the two. I have seen someone saying PRE. I've seen some people saying IEEE. But anyway, it is plan, do, check, and action. That is the procedure which ISM complies with. Okay, so having said that, that brings us to the end of our class, and we have looked at the common information security standards. We have looked at the common significance of information security standards, the main points of common information security standards. Okay, and thank you. So we are going to look at another chapter.